Welcome back to another episode of Monthly Check-ins where me and George check in with each other's goals. My name is Ben. I am a Christian YouTuber, TikToker, and this is George.
I'm George.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get into it. Oh, I'm a realtor. Guess that's all we really need to say, right?
So we have these plans for 2022. In terms of really anything that we're looking to build up as goals, habits, systems. You want to go first? You have something you want to...
Oh, we're just getting right into it?
How you been, bro?
I'm doing great. Hey, how long have we been doing this for? Like a year and a half, and we still haven't figured out
yeah, we usually just never talk to each other whenever we turn on until we turn on the camera.
Yeah, we save all the good stuff until the camera's rolling. I don't really know the best way to go through this. I've kind of just broken up the deals that I did from this year. So this is from February up until now, and I was able to close on 20 rental deals, one deal on the buyer's side and one deal on the seller's side, and I got one listing on the way for next year. So that'll help me reach my goal for listings. Yeah, thank you. Very blessed this year. I mean, when I first got into real estate, I didn't know what to expect really, and I'm glad that I just went for it and decided to test my capability. I've been able to grow a lot throughout the year and learn a lot of new things, and really push myself. So from that, I want to be able to do 25 rental deals next year, just 5 more than I did this year, because I want to focus a little more on buyers and sellers for next year. And with that being said, I want to do 3 deals on the seller side and 5 deals on the buyer side. And when I crunch the numbers, that should provide me with $38,000 in gross commission. So that's what I'm aiming for. And on top of that, I want to be able to receive what's called the Bronze Award from my brokerage. So that means doing 25 deals, which is really 32 deals since I'm on a team. It's just the way that they do the splits. So I have to do 32 deals before July in order to get the Bronze Award. And then I want to receive my GRI designation, which I still have to figure out what exactly that is, but it's basically just another thing to give yourself more credibility as a realtor and to increase your knowledge in real estate. I want to purchase my first investment property next year. So in order to do that, I got the Bigger Pockets membership to be able to analyze a deal every day.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm looking forward to starting my rental portfolio and working towards a life of financial freedom.
So is that all the business ones, or?
Yep, that's everything on the business side.
You want to do switch, we both name business first and then...
Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Instead of just all at once.
What I do,
So, in terms of career for me, I never really finalized all this, so let me look at it first.
No, you're all good, bro. Just go with the flow.
Alright, with 2022, in terms of just the short term, I would really want to focus on consistency here with laying the foundation, and my goal is to build up a community online. And I guess the measures for me in terms of that very surface level would be views on TikTok. So far I've in around 3 months almost 500K on TikTok.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
500,000.
Yeah, that's around 3 months. Yeah, that's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you're not doing any of those basic TikTok videos that everybody does and goes viral on.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's gonna be a slower, yet more worthwhile, I guess, growth.
Yeah.
On TikTok.
So my goal in terms of measuring that in for all of 2022 would be 2 million views in total on TikTok. And eventually I want to get to the point where I'm starting to post videos on YouTube. And I saw this one guy, this one channel. He really knew how to make good videos, and because of the skills he had with that and the audience he had on TikTok, he was able to just make one video on YouTube and then it hit like 3 million views. So I really want to take all the skills and kind of momentum that I'm building up with TikTok right now, and once I'm able to have time to make a long video, take a shot at that and see how well that does and how much feedback that receives. And that's on the Secret Heroes, building a brand side of things. And in terms of being financially responsible, which I have been kind of neglecting.
Oh, really? In what ways?
I just haven't been thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which...
I don't spend much expenses, but I just haven't been thinking about it.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, being frugal, that's one of the ways in order to achieve financial freedom. You can't be having all of these investments and then spending just as much as you make. You also need to be able to control the amount that you're spending. So at least you got that locked down. But I think, it's very important to really focus on that, which is why I'm glad that you're bringing that up. Just because financial freedom to me is at least what the way I see it is that it lets me do what I ultimately want to do, and that's being able to give back to others. So if I'm not able to take care of myself and my family, then that's more time that I'm spending trying to do that. When, being financially free, you don't have to worry about finances. You can focus all of your time and energy towards building something that means something to you.
Yeah, I want to clarify my stance on financial freedom in the past year, and really my stance on life and everything that we're made to do. It's completely everything that I valued has been turned towards God now. So that's what my goal is to do, is to just become closer to God. So that's what all of this is for.
Right.
So
and can becoming financially free help you in achieving that? Because think about it, if you're spending 40 hours a week working at a job just to sustain yourself, that's less time that you're able to spend towards spreading the word of God.
Yeah, but so I'll give you examples of plenty of laymen, who they spend their time wisely, but they always put God first, and because of that, anything is possible. Not just in terms of time, but really becoming holier, becoming more, valuing the right things and prioritizing the right things in life. So to be more concrete, what makes you so sure that let me ask you, what financial freedom do you sacrifice a lot right now?
I do, and that's the way I see it. I see it as sacrificing my time in the short term so that I can have more of it in the long term. Because you can have as much money as you want, you can have all the money in the world, but that won't change anything in your life. But having time, being able to spend that time towards the things that matter to you the most. So my family, I'd like to spend more time towards God than I am now. I think, you had to be willing to put or make those sacrifices in the beginning so that you can live the rest of your life. And that's the way I see it. I don't expect you to see it that way as well. if you want to live your whole life to God and then, just, I guess, work here and there, I mean, that's totally up to you. But I see it as focusing your time towards building something that'll help sustain you for the rest of your life, so that you have the ability to choose rather than being forced to work day in and day out. I think the freedom in life is having the ability to choose. I mean, a lot of people we know, they don't have the option to not work. If they don't go to work, then they're not able to pay their bills. And that adds a lot of stress to yourself and to everyone around you. And you're less focused on other things like God if you're stressed out, or at least most people are. I mean,
but that's the thing. If you learn to prioritize God first, you'll learn. In the Bible, it even says, do not worry, because worry doesn't add anything. So when you learn to be not as stressed, then you'll be able to value the things that matter in life. Which I understand what you're saying with time. I used to think like that too. In terms of, do you think that sacrificing the things now, will that affect the way you're able to enjoy things in the future?
I mean, that's definitely an option, yeah. It can go both ways. I mean, there's no one way that things can go in life, but,
Yeah. I just want to clarify, what I mean by...
how do you plan to sustain, yourself?
How do I plan to sustain myself? I wanted to give you an example of somebody who accomplished a lot in terms of serving God. There's this man named Saint Francis of Assisi, and his focus on life in general. He grew up very wealthy. His parents raised him that way. He grew up that way. And when certain circumstances eventually led him, he received a vision. He was in the middle of a war. It was this Christian war between him and... There's this Christian war going on. I think it was... what's it called?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's the word for it.
It's back in the medieval time?
Yeah, the Christian war between the Muslims and then Christians, but...
Oh, I'm thinking about something else then.
Oh, okay. But he got imprisoned for an entire year, close to that amount of time. And what led him to embracing God and surrendering his will to God wasn't planning, and it was actually his initial plans were to join the army, the Roman army, and not the Roman army, but the army for his town. But he was doing it for the wrong reasons, and God called out to him and said, I forget what he said, but essentially God called out to him and he surrendered everything to him. And he there was this really intense moment where he, in the middle of the town square, he got in trouble from his dad because he gave away some material, like some money to the church to sustain them. And his dad went up to the bishop, and it was a small town, so everybody knew each other. So if there was drama, the town's gonna come and see. So there's Francis on one side, the bishop on one side, who knows the type of work that Francis is doing, which is he's begging on the streets, he's asking people to bring money to build this church that's literally like ruined, and he's renouncing his own dad's wealth. And so his dad is like, you know what, you can't be doing this. And he brings it to the bishop, and the bishop says, that's not what the bishop says. Saint Francis says something to the bishop and to everybody. He actually takes off all his clothes and says, I renounce your wealth. I renounce everything that I used to value, and I want to be a servant of God. So I want to kind of express how that influenced me in terms of why I don't think that plans are everything.
As we're talking about our plans.
Yeah. No, they're not everything, because
it's all about the process.
Because if you're really doing God's will for you, then there's a serendipity in that he is in control, and you have to trust that. And so all of this, I agree with you on what you're saying about the process. All of this is for the process for me. And that's really, yeah, that's just what I'm kind of emphasizing on.
Right. So but how does that answer how, like, you plan to sustain yourself, though? That whole, story that
because
you told
I
about.
believe that I believe that I'm supposed to be serving God's will. And when you're focusing on God and prioritizing God, I believe that He can take care of it. And in terms of short term, building a community and receiving support from that community is one of the things that I learned from the YouTube workshop that I went to in California. And it's about being confident in what you can provide to that community when you're building up a brand or a business. So that's what I'm planning to do. And the short answer would be to work at a part-time job as I'm building up the foundation.
Which I think is the right thing to do. There's nothing wrong with doing what you're passionate in, but it's important that you're able to sustain yourself and sustain other people while doing that.
Yeah.
We all think that we don't have enough of time to do the things that we need to do and that we want to do, but we have all the time in the world. And like you said, if you do what you need to do, then God will reward you for that, as long as you're acting upon His word. And I don't know, I don't want you to get caught like in the trap where you, like the waiting place, you wait for something to come to you. I think my belief, and I don't expect everybody to believe it this way, but I think that God expects us to take action first, and then He rewards us for doing that. We can't just pray for God to give us what we want without not doing anything, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So it's important that you don't wait for something to come to you. You need to be like proactive.
Yeah, and Saint Francis wasn't a waiter either, because he was actively engaging in serving the poor and serving, like, I remember now what God told him in a vision. He said, "Francis, build my church." And so he was thinking, "Oh, this church I'm standing in, it's like literally broken up. So I'm gonna like go fix it."
Yeah. Went to Home Depot.
There was no Home Depot
Back then.
Yeah. So he started proactively, day by day, working at that, like what you're saying.
Right.
And not waiting. I just had a hard time expressing it because...
No, I completely understand. And I know that this wouldn't happen to you, but what worries me about a lot of people is that they wait.
Mm-hmm.
And they think that, if they pray, then God will, give to them. And I'm not saying that praying is a bad thing, but you need to pray and also do at the same time.
Yeah.
And I just don't want that to happen to you.
Like, God gives us all responsibilities and things we can do now.
Right.
That he expects us to do.
No, and I guess another example would be like praying to God for something like, please God, give me wealth and fortune, but you're not putting in the time to go and worship God at church, giving back to the community. You're just asking but not giving back. So that's a big problem that I have with like a lot of people who practice the faith. If you're not willing to give back what you're given to from God, then don't pray to him at all or ask for anything.
Well said.
Yeah.
So we talked about the business side of things, the career side of things. What else do you want to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to ask you, like, what platform do you plan on using to build this community?
TikTok first, because I believe that short form content, first of all, less time to produce, so I'm able to do that every day and then upload every other day and build up the community on TikTok. Then I'm gonna, once I have a backlog enough videos, I'm going to move over to YouTube. What I mean by once I have a backlog is once I have enough videos ahead of schedule, then I can have like a month to just fully put my head down onto one video, one long video on YouTube.
On longer videos?
Yeah, and then I'll go back to shorter videos. And then it'll just be like short videos, long videos, short videos, long videos.
Is there anything stopping you from doing both?
Yeah, I want to balance my part-time, having a part-time job once New Year's comes up.
Okay.
Oh, after the retreat, I mean.
Gotcha. Well, do you have any places that you plan on working at?
I applied to Chick-fil-A again, so.
Oh, okay. I mean, they are a God-worshipping company.
Yeah, Christian private company. Yeah. I actually was thinking of applying to Lowe's.
Oh, really?
Push you on in terms of growing in the faith. I'm really happy that you're aiming to do 4 days a month, and I'm not asking you to do more than that in terms of mass. How has the book been, Mere Christianity?
It's been a lot to take in. I mean, it's just the way that, you know what I mean, like the way that the information
and the way
they're speaking in a different way than we do now. It's
literally, he writes in it as an essay. He's a very scholarly person, like, and well-educated person.
Clearly I'm not. So.
No, the reason I was able to get through it was because I had a group of people with me, literally going chapter every week, or 3 chapters a week or something like that.
Was that for the...
It wasn't at Baltimore. It was at my local church.
But was it for that group you were a part of?
I don't know what group you're
Exodus?
talking about. No, it was a different group. Like me and my friend, we gathered up a bunch of kids our age, and we read that book. And that's extremely helpful with stuff like that. But I think a more reasonable approach for people like us might just be like YouTube videos occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
Like start gearing your mind towards those types of videos.
That's what I really like, because I'm a visual learner. So being able to listen to information while also being accompanied by a visual aid is really helpful for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I just want to like push you more towards like learning more about the faith, or at least I'm glad you mentioned how you're gonna serve more. I think that's what got cut off. How you were gonna give back to your community more, spend more time on that.
Yeah, because I think that's the closest way to being to God is giving back. You know, but philanthropy, that's the word.
The Bible says the word almsgiving.
Almsgiving?
Yeah, philanthropy is more like financial side of it, but almsgiving is like really giving of yourself, you know.
Almsgiving. Yeah.
I don't know what the word alms means, so.
Yeah, where that comes from.
I just know that in the Old Testament, it's in a story, Book of Tobit. So, yeah, is that everything on terms of like, well, is there anything you want to say about yours?
I mean, I already went through everything. This is more so like a business plan, so I don't have a lot of like my personal goals on here other than reading 12 books, so 1 book a month. I want to keep at it with that. Also continuing to work out 3 times a week. I don't know what I'm going to do about going to the gym because of COVID cases spiking up. It's probably not the smartest thing for me to do, to go into a public space where a lot of people are at.
Yeah.
I got to be more conscious about that because I don't want to spread the virus to anyone because it's crazy right now. But yeah, just becoming closer to God. I don't really have any other way or any other plan of how I'm going to do that other than being more charitable and going to Mass every week. And also going to that thing with you, the P3 thing. I'm really looking forward to that because that's going to be my second time doing confirmation. And I think it's going to be really beneficial. Confession. Sorry, I don't know the terms. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I think it could be a great way for me to get a lot of things off my chest. And I don't know what I'm going to say at this moment, but I think it'll just all come to me once I'm there and being able to experience all of that. But it just seems really cool to be surrounded, like doing that thing, Discovering Christ that we did. It was really cool being surrounded by all those people who are just working towards becoming closer to God and really inspiring. It gives you like that sense of community, which I really like about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that we'll be able to go to Mass together Sunday.
I know, yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
it's like you guiding me. You're gonna be able to explain everything that I don't understand because I just sit there like a confused puppy, and I'm just like, what's this guy saying? Puppy.
Yeah, I want to push you to understand the Mass more, and that'll be a good start.
Yeah.
So, to talk about some of my spiritual plans in terms of process and consistency, for me, just to say like, for you to hold me accountable. Rosary prayer every day, which is one of the things that I gave to you, and that's another great way to grow closer to God. 5 Our Fathers. So 1 Our Father, and there's 5 like sections. So 1 Our Father, and then 10 Hail Marys, and then you meditate on. They're called mysteries. So 1 sorrowful mystery would be the agony in the garden, how Jesus knew that he was going to be crucified. He knew what awaited him, and he's praying in that garden to God, to him, the dad, the Father. And you would meditate on that, and then you would say an Our Father, and you would go on 10 Hail Marys, and it's really well explained in that pamphlet there. That one
over there.
That one and that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it the same mystery every day? that you just meditate on?
There's 4 different mysteries: joyful, luminous, glorious, and sorrowful. And then the sorrowful is all about the pain that Jesus took on.
And how long do you meditate on that for?
It'll explain in the pamphlet, but it doesn't really matter how long, as long as you like try to put in some effort to kind of take that into mind. Like you can look at a crucifix for a while and try to think what it would be like to watch Jesus in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, Our Father. It's a good way to slow down. So I'm gonna do that every day, Rosary. I have been doing that every day, but just want to keep at that. And then I want to do Mass every other day because of what is in the Mass, which it's called the Eucharist. They receive it every Sunday, every Mass. There's a whole, it's a lot. I can't go over it now, but it's really important that you understand it, and I hope to explain it one day. And then adoration every week, which is what we'll be able to do during P3, which is like silent time in God's presence. As well as other prayer habits that I just want to continue to do every day and every week. So yeah, consistency when it comes to. There's also another exercise called a nightly examine.
Yeah.
Where you, every night, you just have to think about, did I follow my conscience today? And to start thinking that way, you really gotta start questioning some of the things, being more observant of the things that you do, the things that you say, the things that you think, the things that you fail to do. Like for example, when I was in the Philippines, there was a kid on the street getting bullied, and I kind of just looked around at what everybody else was doing, and then I didn't really do anything. So something that as simple as that, but looking our heads towards, as we're Christians, followers of Jesus, how would Jesus act in that moment? And that's what we're called to follow. And nightly examine is when we can examine, did I do that?
Reflecting.
Yeah, reflecting. Nightly reflection is another way to say it. And also just spending time with family is something that I want to keep at it. My brother's in the Philippines, so I can just...
And your sister.
My siblings are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So I video chat every... try to do that every night.
Yeah.
Video chat. And as well as...
over there?
Oh, man. They're good. They really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely different environment.
Do they miss their friends over here?
I think they're easier to adapt. Even when I moved schools, when I was like in elementary school, I didn't really think about it that much.
Okay.
Yeah. I said bye, and then that was kind of it.
You didn't really know what you were saying bye for, but then the next day you just saw a whole different set of kids, and you're like, okay.
Nah.
More friends.
I knew that I was gonna be in a different school. That's why I was saying bye.
I didn't know. Like
really?
when I switched schools, I was like, well, okay.
In what?
I was very third grade.
Okay.
Like I went to a different school third grade. Then I went back to that school in fifth grade, and I was like, I'm back. Yeah. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, man. Is there anything you wanna? Well, we usually do this with like a final
like piece of advice.
Yeah. For me, it's I always like to look at why I do things and why that's why I was kind of emphasizing trying to understand your goal more, and also trying to clarify mine. Just ask why more. Try to understand the things that you're doing more. and bring that to God. What about you?
I think that's a good point right there. Understanding, why you do the things that you do and why other people do what they do. Because I guess there are like wrong things for people to do, but ultimately it's their choice, and the only thing that matters if they believe it's right. Because I think it would be wrong to question the actions of other people. Really, you should just be focusing on what you're doing, and if you think what you're doing is right, then that's all that's important. You can do what you can to share your perspective, but that's all you should really do, is just provide people with the information, and then let them decide upon themselves.
So do you think that...
I don't think anything should be forced on other people. So, like, whether that be joining a pyramid scheme or, you know what I mean? Because then it's not really their decision. It's someone deciding for them.
Let me, try to pinpoint what you're saying. Do you think that we all have a conscience? Would you agree that that we all have a conscience, and that if we go against our conscience, that we'll end up worse? Would you agree on that?
By conscience, what do you mean?
Conscience?
Yeah. Like your self-talk.
No, there's difference between self-talk and then a conscience. Like a conscience is, the church teaches that a conscience is God-given, because, for example, if you go on the subway and an old lady sitting on her chair and she stands up to pick up her bag, somebody comes in and they just take her seat. The person that took the seat is going to justify why he was able to do it, or why he's going to defend himself. But if he didn't know that it was wrong, he would have no reason to defend himself. But because he had a conscience and he went against that and he did something wrong, he defended himself like second nature, like he didn't think about it. So we all have a conscience, and I want to clarify that those that go against that conscience end up worse than others, and it might not be seen on surface level, but they'll become the worst people. That's why the church teaches that there's a heaven and hell, because people choose not to love God through their conscience, through following their conscience.
No, I definitely agree with you with that. I think that a lot of people go against what their conscience is telling them to do, but ultimately that's their decision. If they don't want to do because they know that the right thing to do is to not take the woman's seat, but they still do it. That's their decision. It's for them to decide whether that's right or wrong, and I don't think that's right for them to do that.
I think what you're saying is God gives us the free will to choose to do the right things, and we should also push back on people and challenge them, but ultimately they have the decision.
Right. I think that's the best gift that God ever gave humanity, is free will.
Yeah.
Because if there was no wrong, then there wouldn't be a right. I think that there should be a counterpart to everything, and there is. Because one can't exist without the other. I mean, what's the... I don't want to say it the way I'm going to say it is going to sound bad, but what's the point in going to heaven if there was no hell?
No. Well...
If you know what I mean by that.
What's the point of... You're saying... Can you clarify that? Hold on.
I don't know if I can. What I'm saying is there's a counterpart to everything. There's good and then there's bad. There's day and there's night. Everything has a counterpart to it, and one of them can't exist without the other. There's no meaning to day if there is no night. So, as bad people are, they give meaning to the good people. You know? If that makes sense. That's just the nature of life.
I think, yeah. I'm just gonna say,
there can't be man if there is no woman.
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Everything good comes from God. Everything away from God is, when we turn away from God, that's when evil exists.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we kind of just like had a little
On a tangent. We're going into like philosophy now.
Yeah.
Which is confusing to me, but interesting as well.
Bye bye.
Thank you guys for watching. If anybody watched that point.